So many people struggle with poor performing PPC campaigns and not seeing the results that they expect. And that's because they don't understand how PPC fundamentally works, and more importantly, they don't execute a proper strategy that works. So in this masterclass video, I'm going to dive deep into advanced PPC strategies specifically crafted for product launches that even a beginner can do. I'm going to cover fundamentals of PPC so that you can understand exactly what the PPC system is and how it works. Advanced keyword research. You'll learn how to find high converting keywords and properly organize them into strategic lists that will maximize your PPC efficiency and boost your product's visibility. Create effective campaigns. I'll show you how to properly set up PPC campaigns in a strategic, data-driven, and organized manner that makes analysis and optimization much easier. And you'll learn how to analyze and optimize your PPC campaign data. I'll demystify the PPC report and explain what the PPC metrics are so that you can finally understand what they mean and how to make strategic changes to improve your campaign performance. All right, let's get started. Most beginners are doing keyword research and PPC campaigns completely wrong. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're probably one of them. What I mean is most beginners will just find the best keyword tool, but have no idea how to properly use it. You can't just take the results from a tool, stick them into a PPC campaign, and expect it to perform. Doing it this way is extremely amateur and is precisely why you're not getting any sales, you're blowing through your budget, and your ACoS is too high. Imagine you're running a lemonade stand, and on the first day, you count how many people walk by and how many buy lemonade, and at the end of the day, you have two numbers but no clue why some people didn't buy. So on the next day, you change your strategy. You know what time people stop by, their age, how hot it is, and whether they ask for samples. You discover that sales spike in the afternoon and that people buy more when you offer them free samples. Now, can you see the difference? It's paramount that you have a specific strategy in place before you even start. Otherwise, it's impossible to analyze and optimize your data. And today, I'm going to show you how, as well as reveal an advanced step that only the pros know of. Okay, so first of all, don't even try using the free keyword tools. You get what you pay for. Garbage in equals garbage out. The keyword research tool that I recommend is from Helium 10, and the first one we're going to use here is Cerebro. What Cerebro does is it allows us to enter our competitors' listings, and it will grab all of their top keywords. Basically, instead of having to start from scratch, we're going to steal all of the top performing keywords from the top sellers. And the key here is that these are keywords that are actually performing. Keywords that actually convert and lead to sales. How powerful is that? That's why those free tools are pretty much useless. So obviously, to get started, we need a list of competitors. So let's take a look at these camping tent anchors. This is actually a new product idea that I'm working on, so I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do keyword research and set up PPC on this product. So the first thing you need to do is do a search on Amazon for your product using the main keyword phrase. So in this case, these are screw-in tent stakes. Now, I'm going to grab the ASIN of the top 3 listings. These are generally going to be the top 3 organic listings you see here, and quite often they're going to have the overall pick or bestseller tag. Make sure you do not pick the sponsored listings or products that are not the one that you want to sell. It needs to be the exact product or very similar. And I also want to point out here that it's important that you grab the ASINs in order. Get the top ASIN first, so in this case, it's this listing here. Grab the ASIN and enter it into Cerebro. You can get the ASIN from the URL. It always starts with a B0, or you can scroll down the listing page and you can get it from this section here. Then paste it into Cerebro. Grab the next one, and then the third. And remember, the order matters. For products that have a lot of monthly search volume, 3 is typically all you need, but on lower volume products, you may need to grab 5 or 6 ASINs. So in this case, 3 is all we need. Click on Get Keywords. Now, if we take a look here, Cerebro returned over 2,000 keywords. That's way too many to go through, so we can tighten up the results by adding a few filters. The first filter we're going to use is the match type filter. So instead of pulling a list of all the keywords these ASINs are using, let's only grab the organic keywords. You want to always set this to organic anyway, since this will make the keyword results far more relevant. Notice that it cut down the list by over half. The next filter I'm going to use is the competitor rank. I'm going to set this to a maximum of 60. What this will do is it will show the keywords where the ASINs are ranking in the top 60 positions. I chose 60 because there's 60 listings on the first page of the search results. Again, notice it cut down the results even more. Now, this is still a bit too many for my liking, so let's see if we can narrow it down just a little bit more. I'm going to put a minimum of 2 in the number of competitors filter. What this does is it will only show keywords that are common between at least 2 of the ASINs in our ASIN list. Can you see how powerful Cerebro is? You're not going to find these types of features on other tools. In fact, I have a huge discount on Helium 10 for my followers, so if you want to try it out, there's a link down in the description for a free trial as well as the coupon code. All right, perfect. You can see that the results have narrowed down quite significantly to something much more manageable now. Usually somewhere around 200 to 300 is good. Now we have a highly targeted and relevant keyword list for the product, but we're not quite done yet. We need to clean up the list and then sort them into an actionable strategy. So the first thing we need to do is remove any irrelevant keywords and keywords that have any brand names in them. Now, for obvious reasons, you don't want to have any keywords that are unrelated to your product, and you don't want to use or advertise your competitors' brands. So go through the list and check mark these keywords and click the delete button up here. Now, if you're not quite sure if a keyword is relevant, you can hover your mouse over the keyword and take a look at the products that are pulled up. If they're not the product that you want to sell, then remove the keyword. If you make a mistake, you can always click on the View Deleted Words button here and add it back. Once you've gone through the list, checkmark all of the remaining keywords and save this list by clicking on the Add to My List button. Helium 10 calls them folders, so create a new folder and give it a name. Now, you want to be detailed and specific here so you can easily identify each list in the future. So in this case, I'm going to name this folder Tent Stake Master List, because this is going to be our master list of keywords. Now click Save. The new folder will show up here, and notice that it says 0. So click on it and add all the keywords to this list. Now, if you have more than one page of keywords, navigate to each page, checkmark the keywords, and add them to the list in the same way. Now, this is the time-consuming part. We're going to go through this master list a few times to create a few additional lists. The first list we're going to create is a list of main keywords. These are the keywords that are highly relevant to your product. For example, these are keywords that people would be searching for specifically to buy your product. Again, checkmark these keywords and create a new list. So in my case, anything related to screw-in tent stakes, I'm going to checkmark. When you're done, create a new folder, tent stake main keywords, and add the keywords to this folder. Now, to make things a little bit easier, delete these keywords from the list so we don't have to look at them. Now, don't worry, you have the master list already saved, so deleting them just makes this faster so you're not looking at these keywords that you've already saved in a list. Now, we're going to go through the list and checkmark any keywords that are related to the product. So, unlike the main keywords, these are keywords that the buyers might be searching for because they don't quite know what to call the product, or they're looking for something very similar, or they're using a broader search term. So for example, tent stake or tent anchor, gazebo stakes, and so on. Now, this may end up being most of the keywords that are left on this list, but just make sure you don't include any misspelled keywords. Now, save this folder as tent stake relevant keywords. Again, once you've saved it, delete these keywords from the list. And now we're going to go through the list and checkmark all the misspelled keywords. Save them in a new folder, tent stake misspelled keywords. Okay, now we're going to move on to step 2. Go up to the top of the page and click on Tools, My List Keywords, and here you can see the list of keywords that we've created. Click on the main keywords list and sort it by volume, highest to lowest. Now, copy the very first keyword here. This is the best and most relevant keyword phrase for your product. Then click on Tools, Magnet, and paste your top keyword and click on Get Keywords. Again, choose organic match type and aim for around 200 to 300 results. If you have too many keywords, you can try entering a minimum search volume to filter out only the more searched keywords, or add a minimum word count of 2. But in this case, we're around 200 results here, so we're good. So let's move on. Okay, now repeat the steps that we did back with Cerebro. Remove any unrelated keywords and brands, then checkmark all the main keywords and add them to the main keyword list. Then checkmark all the relevant keywords and add them to your relevant keyword list. And then finally, all the misspelled keywords, add them to the misspelled list. Now, the purpose of doing this additional step in Magnet is to find any additional keywords that the ASIN list didn't pull up. And don't worry, if there were any duplicate keywords in your list, Helium 10 doesn't add them. All right, now the hard part is done. We can move on to step 3. Here's where we're gonna go the extra mile and do something only the pros know of. We're gonna fully take advantage of any commonly misspelled keywords related to our product. So head on over to your keywords list, open up the master list, checkmark all the keywords and click on Download CSV. Open up the file in Excel, or in my case, Numbers, because I'm on a Mac and Mac is best. Copy the entire column of keywords. Then click on Tools, Misspellinator, and paste the keywords here. Click on Prepare at the bottom, then click on Select All, and then click on Find Misspellings. Now, what Misspellinator has done is it's gone through our master list and pulled up all the most commonly misspelled keywords, as you can see here. But the thing is, we don't need all of them. Amazon actually auto-corrects a lot of the frequently misspelled keywords for you. For example, if I do a search for screw-in tent steaks and intentionally misspell it, notice that it auto-corrected it for me. So in Misspellinator, make sure to checkmark Select Non-Auto-Corrected Misspellings. Then click on Export and choose Selected Misspells, not all misspells, and save the file. Then open it up in Excel or Numbers again and highlight the first column. These are the correctly spelled keywords, and delete the entire column. We don't need them. The first column you should see here now should be the misspelled keywords. So again, save this file and make sure to save it as a CSV. Then head back to your keyword lists and open up the misspelled keyword list. Click on Add Keyword, choose Import from CSV, and select the file that you just saved. You'll notice that all the keywords have been added here. Then click on Save. And that's it. Now we have 4 ready-to-use keyword lists for our listing optimization as well as our PPC campaigns. The reason why we went through all of this trouble is just like the lemonade stand example. We now have separate keyword strategies that we can test and optimize. We can use different matching and bidding strategies for each list, and the data collected for each strategy will be separate and much easier to digest and analyze. Now, the next step is to create actionable PPC campaigns with each one of these lists. So let's do this next. PPC is easily the toughest and most frustrating part of your Amazon business because it can quickly drain your wallet if you don't do it the right way, and I see so many beginners falling victim to this by incorrectly setting up their campaigns, simply because they're going in unprepared. They don't realize that you need to have a winning strategy in place right from the start. But in order for you to understand why my strategy works, I'm going to show you how the PPC system works on Amazon and why it's necessary for you to run PPC campaigns. All right, let's get started. Did you know that over 70% of all sales takes place on the first page of the search results? That's why it's so crucial that your product listing shows up on the first page. But guess what? When you launch a new product on Amazon, your listing isn't going to show up anywhere near the first page. Why? Because Amazon's search algorithm ranks listings based primarily on the daily sales velocity. That means the listings that sell the most each day will typically get ranked higher in the search results, which is why you find all of the best sellers on the first page, like you see here. And since your new product doesn't have any sales, it's not going to show up anywhere near the first page. Typically, it'll be on the last few pages or not even show up at all. But take a closer look here. Notice that these listings right at the top here say sponsored next to them. These listings aren't placed here based on their sales velocity. They're placed here from Amazon's PPC advertising system. You can find them here at the top of each search page and throughout the rest of the page, such as in the middle and at the bottom. You can also find them on the product detail pages themselves, like you can see here. So as you might have guessed, the best spot for your product listing to show up is here at the very top of the first page of the search results. But how do you get your listing here? Well, as you can see, these all say sponsored next to them, so these are all paid ads. And this is the first listing that doesn't say sponsored. These listings are organically placed listings. Like I said earlier, these organic listings are placed based on their daily sales velocity. No one paid to have their listing here. For the sponsored ads, sellers need to compete with each other and pay to get their ads placed here in the search results. Where a seller's ads gets placed is based on bids. Basically, the Amazon PPC system, which stands for pay per click, is like an auction. When a shopper does a search on Amazon, all the sellers that are competing for that keyword phrase the shopper is searching for compete for the ad spots. The seller that placed the highest bid gets the best ad spot, which is the one at the top of the very first page. The next highest bidder gets the second best ad spot, and so on. Make sense? So as you might have guessed, if you're the highest bidder, then you can get your ad placed prominently on the first page without having any actual sales or having to outsell the top sellers. This can help you generate sales, especially during a product launch when your new listing doesn't have any sales at all. And a common question I get asked all the time, when should you start doing PPC? Well, you should start it right away as soon as your product goes live. There's no sense in waiting. Just make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row and that your listing is ready to go the moment your listing goes live. That way you can start PPC right away and not be waiting around because your photos aren't ready or you didn't finish the listing. Remember, if you didn't know, there's a honeymoon period where Amazon helps boost your product rank whenever you launch a new product, and this honeymoon period starts the moment you have inventory in stock and ready to sell. So by delaying your PPC, you're wasting your short honeymoon period. So now that you understand how Amazon's PPC system works, how do you set up a winning strategy? Well, in order to use the PPC system, you need to create PPC campaigns. And in these campaigns, you can pick and choose which keywords you want to bid on. Choosing the right keywords and incorporating them into a winning strategy is the difference between an amateur and a pro. Okay, so once you've created your keyword lists, you'll have 4 of them. We can incorporate them into my advanced PPC strategy. But before we do that, there's one more thing that you need to know, and that's the difference between the keyword matching types, and you'll understand why in a moment. When you're creating PPC campaigns, there's a few matching types that you can choose from. There's exact match, broad match, and phrase match. Exact match means it will only match searches that are the exact same phrase, word for word, as the original keyword phrase, and nothing else. For example, if in your keyword list you have the phrase leather wallet, your ad will only show up when shoppers search for that specific phrase only, leather wallet. Broad match, on the other hand, means that your ad may show up for searches that are similar to your keyword phrase, including synonyms, misspellings, and related phrases. So for example, if your broad match keyword is leather wallet, your ad may show up for searches like small leather wallet red, or leather red wallet, and so on. Phrase match is a hybrid between exact and broad match where your ad will show up for searches that include your keyword in the exact same order, but may have additional words before or after it. So for example, your ad may show up for searches like small leather wallet or leather wallet red, but not for searches like leather red wallet or plastic wallet. In general, exact match will give you the most control over when your ad is shown, while broad match will give you the most exposure, but may result in less relevant clicks. Phrase match can be a good compromise between the two, providing some flexibility while still ensuring that your ad is shown to buyers looking for your specific product. But for my strategy, we're not going to use phrase match, because as you can see, any phrase match will already be included in a broad match, so it'll make it less work when it comes to analyzing and optimizing the campaigns. Okay, now that we have that covered, let's get started with creating the PPC campaigns. Head on over to Seller Central and choose Sponsored Products. We're going to create several independent PPC campaigns, each testing a different strategy with each of the keyword lists that you've created. Now, the first campaign we're going to create is an exact match campaign using our main keyword list. So in the ad group name, give it a detailed name so that you can easily identify what the campaign is in the future. So in this case, instead of the cryptic default name, let's call it Tent Stake Main Keywords, Exact Match. This way we know what product this campaign is for, which keyword list we're using, and the match type. Select your product from the list of SKUs. We're going to choose a manual targeting here and leave it on keyword targeting since we're going to specify a list of keywords to use in the campaign. Now choose Enter List. Leave the bid as Suggested Bid. Uncheck Broad and Phrase Match. And then head on over to our main keyword list and copy the list of keywords and paste them here. Then click Add Keywords. Now you'll notice that it set a default suggested bid for us here. Now here's where I suggest bidding extremely aggressive so that you can almost guarantee winning the top ad spot. What I suggest is overbidding the suggested bid by $1. You can see that for each keyword there's a suggested bid range. So overbid that range by $1. And this doesn't have to be exact, just overbid it. And a pro tip, use odd numbers for the penny amount. Since most people are typically going to use multiples of 5, you want to think outside the box and outbid them by pennies when you can. And don't worry about bidding so high. Remember, the highest bidder gets the best ad spot, but you only pay when someone clicks on your ad, not when your ad is displayed. So if no one clicks, you don't pay. And just because you set a high bid amount here, it doesn't mean that you're going to pay that amount for every click. For example, if you set your bid to $10, it just means that you're willing to pay up to $10. If the highest bid is only $1, then the PPC algorithm will outbid that seller for you, so you'd only be paying $1.01. Does that make sense? So by being super aggressive here with your bidding, we'll almost guarantee that you'll get the best ad spot for all of the keywords on your list. And that way, you can get faster results by collecting data quicker and make better optimization decisions. Now, if you don't want to be as aggressive for whatever reason, then just outbid the suggested bids by 25% or so. Now, once you've done that, scroll down and choose Dynamic Bids Up and Down. I suggest choosing this option during product launches. Now, if you're not doing a product launch or if you want to be slightly less aggressive, then choose Down Only. But I never use fixed bids. Set the campaign name to the same name you entered at the top. You can just copy and paste it here. Leave the start and end date as default. And then for this campaign, set the daily budget to what you can afford. I suggest setting a minimum of $10 to $20. But here's a pro tip. Because this is an exact match campaign using our main keywords, these are the keywords that are the most relevant to our product. I suggest setting the daily budget to $100, even if you only want to spend $10 to $20 a day. And here's why. If you think about it, Amazon's PPC algorithm is going to show your ads to shoppers throughout the day. If you set the daily budget to $10, then the algorithm knows that it only needs to show your ad a few times throughout the day to try to use up your $10 budget. However, if you set your budget to $100, then the algorithm knows that it will need to show your ad way more often in order to try to spend your $100 budget. But remember, you don't have to pay when your ads get shown. You only pay if someone clicks on them. So it's to your advantage to get your ads shown as many times as possible, and you can do that by gaming the system in this way. Now, if in reality you only want to spend $20 a day, then every hour or so throughout the day, check how much your budget has been spent and simply turn off the campaign when it reaches $20 or whatever your budget is. Then turn the campaign back on again the next day when it resets. Make sense? Now click on Launch Campaign. Keep in mind, it can take about an hour or so for your ads to start running. So give it some time and then do some searches for your keywords on your list and see where your ads are appearing in the search results. If it's not showing at the top ad spot on the first page, then you're being outbid. So raise the bid. And again, if you don't want to be so aggressive, having our ads show up on the first 2 pages is okay. Now let's move on to creating the 4 remaining campaigns. The next campaign is exactly the same as the one we just created, but this time we're going to use the relevant keyword list. So for the ad group name, let's put tent steak, relevant, exact. Choose the product, select manual targeting, keyword targeting, enter the list, uncheck broad and phrase, copy our list of relevant keywords and paste them here, and click add keywords. And again, overbid the suggested bids like we did earlier. Set the bidding strategy to the same as you did earlier, so in this case, up and down. Set the campaign name, leave the dates, and again, set the daily budget to $100 and click Launch Campaign. Okay, in the third campaign, we're going to do exactly the same thing again, but this time we're going to do a broad match using the master list. So let's name this campaign Tent Steak Master Broad. Everything else is the same as before, except choose broad match and copy and paste our master list. Set everything here the same as before, but this time set the daily budget to $20. All right, now the fourth campaign we're going to create is going to be a broad match campaign using the misspelled keyword list. So again, let's name this campaign tent stake misspelled broad. Set everything as we did before, except choose broad match. Copy paste the list of keywords. Set all these the same as before. And in the daily budget, set it to $10. All right, and now we're done with our keyword list, but we need to create 2 more campaigns. Here's where we're going to let Amazon do the heavy lifting for us to capture any potential keywords that we didn't mine ourselves. So in the 5th campaign, we're going to use keywords that Amazon suggests for us. So let's name this campaign tent stake suggested broad. Set everything the same as before, but this time in the keyword targeting section here, we're going to leave it as suggested. Check broad match only. Add keywords. Leave the bids as is. Again, set the bidding strategy like we did before. In this case, up and down. Set the name. Leave the dates. And set the daily budget to $10 and click on Launch Campaign. And in the second campaign, this campaign is going to be an automatic campaign. We're going to let Amazon control this campaign for us. So let's name this campaign tent stake auto. Set everything the same as before. However, this time choose automatic targeting. Leave the default bid as is. Set the bidding strategy to up and down. Set the name, leave the dates, and set the daily budget again to $10 and launch the campaign. All right, now you have 6 distinct PPC campaigns, each testing a separate list of keywords using a specific strategy to help you get the best results. I hope that you can see by doing it this way and keeping the data separated, it allows you to analyze and optimize the campaigns much easier since you know exactly what strategy each campaign is testing and how well it's performing. What I suggest at this point is letting the campaigns run for at least 7 to 10 days in order to collect enough data for you to make informed decisions on how to optimize them. Don't fall in the trap of checking the campaigns every day and making knee-jerk changes. So in this next part of this masterclass, let's talk about how to actually analyze and optimize your PPC campaigns. Most sellers struggle with poor PPC performance and optimization because optimizing PPC campaigns isn't just about choosing the right keywords, adjusting bids, and the ad placements. It's far more nuanced than that. In fact, I can almost always pinpoint why making changes to your PPC campaigns isn't helping to 2 main contributing factors. Okay, so the first main reason why you're not seeing results when you make changes to your PPC campaigns is due to external factors. These are root causes that are not related to your bids and ad strategies. For example, there's 4 main metrics that I look at when analyzing PPC campaigns. The first is impressions. Impressions refers to how often your ad is shown to shoppers. If you have low impressions, it could be due to several key factors. If your bids are too low, your ads might not be competitive enough to win ad placements. Remember, the PPC system places ads based on bids. The highest bidder gets the best ad spot. That's the one at the top of the first page of the search results. The second highest bidder gets the next best ad spot, and so on. So if you're getting low impressions, that means your ads aren't getting shown at all, or they're being shown in places where people aren't looking. So make sure your bids are competitive to get your ads shown. Low impressions can also be due to poor keyword relevance. Using keywords that are not relevant to your product or that have low search volume can result to fewer impressions. Your budget can also play a role. Running out of daily budget early in the day can limit the number of times your ad is shown, so make sure your budget is sufficient to last throughout the entire day. The second key metric is the click-through rate. Click-through rate measures how often people click on your ad after it's been seen. So if you have low CTR, it can be due to irrelevant targeting. If your keywords or targeting criteria are not relevant to your product, shoppers are less likely to click on your ad because your product isn't what they're looking to buy. Or you could have a poorly formatted title. Unattractive or unclear titles can discourage clicks. Make sure your title is compelling and relevant to your audience, clearly describing what your product is and what its key benefits and features are. Next, it could be a bad main image. The main image is what gets shown in your ad, so a low quality or unappealing main image can deter shoppers from clicking on your ad. So this isn't an area that you want to try and save money on. Always invest in high quality images. You could have poor reviews. This should be pretty obvious. Products with poor reviews or low star ratings can reduce the likelihood of clicks. Never sell low quality products. Only sell high quality, premium products that solve a problem and have real world value to your customers. If your product has issues or problems, identify and fix them and work on improving your product ratings. Now, the third key metric is the conversion rate. The conversion rate indicates the percentage of clicks that result in a sale. What that means is, once a shopper clicks on your ad and visits your product detail page, they're not convinced to purchase from you, so a low conversion rate might be due to these culprits. A low quality listing. Poorly optimized product listings with bad images, descriptions, or titles can hinder your conversions. It can also be due to a bad pricing strategy. If your product is priced too high or too low compared to your competitors, it may result in fewer conversions. So a high price with poorly communicated value or a low price can have the perception of low quality. Negative reviews or a lack of reviews can also reduce trust and social proof, leading to low conversions. And also irrelevant traffic. Attracting traffic from shoppers who are not interested in purchasing your product can lower your conversion rates. Always be sure that your ads are targeting the right audience. And metric number 4 is the ACoS. And this is the metric that so many people struggle to understand, yet it plays such a significant role in your PPC performance. ACoS is the ratio of the dollars you spent on ads versus the sales that they've generated from ads. So for example, if you spent $100 on ads and generated $500 in sales from those ads, your ACoS would be 20%. That's calculated by dividing your ad spend from your sales and then multiplying that by 100. So $100 divided by $500 equals 0.2, and multiplied by 100 equals 20%. And why is this figure important? Because if the ACoS is greater than your profit margin, then you're actually losing money with every sale that you make. So for example, let's say you're selling a product for $50 and your total costs of the product is $30, giving you a profit margin of $20 per unit, or expressed as a percentage, $20 divided by the $50 sale price equals 40% profit margin. Therefore, if you spend $10 on advertising to sell 1 unit, your ACoS is $10 divided by $50, which equals 20%. But now, let's say you spend $30 on ads to sell 1 unit. Then $30 divided by $50 equals 40%, which is the same as your profit margin. That means you broke even. So with that said, if the ACoS is greater than your profit margin, you're actually losing money each time you make a sale. That's why ACoS is so important to understand. So what factors contribute to a high ACoS? There's high bids. Overbidding can lead to high ad costs without generating more sales, which raise your ACoS. Ineffective keywords. Bidding on keywords that do not convert well can increase your ACoS. Or a low conversion rate. If you get a lot of clicks with very few sales, you'll spend more on clicks without generating enough sales, which increase your ACoS. So understanding these 4 key metrics can significantly improve your Amazon PPC performance because, as I mentioned earlier, there's 2 main reasons why poor PPC performance isn't always related to just your bids and advertising strategies. And so the second main reason is not setting up your PPC campaigns correctly right from the start. You can't just use a keyword research tool and slap together a random list of keywords into a campaign and expect it to perform. Constructing PPC campaigns that work starts with having a strategic plan, beginning with proper keyword research, arranging the keywords into strategic lists, each one with a specific strategy in mind, and then creating separate PPC campaigns that can properly test each strategy, keeping the data that you collect in separated and distinct reports that make analysis and optimization easier. Okay, so now that you understand these 2 main reasons that affect PPC performance that are unrelated to your bids and ad strategies, how do you analyze and optimize your PPC campaigns? Well, you need to break this down into 2 steps, and it's important that you do this in order. The first is to take a look at your bid placements. So in your campaign manager, if you followed my campaign strategy, you'll see 6 campaigns here. And so starting with the first campaign, click on it, and then click on placements. Here's where we can see how well your ads have been performing based on where Amazon has been placing them. You can see the top of search, which is the best ad spot. That's the very top of the first page of the search results. There's the rest of page, which is anywhere else in the search result pages. and the product pages, which is the ads shown on the product detail pages. Now, what we're going to do here is make some global changes to our campaigns. If the ads are performing well in a specific placement, then we want to bid more aggressively there. If they're not performing well, then we want to be less aggressive. You can see that in my case, the top of search is doing really well for me. So in my case, the profit margin for my product is 36%, and the ads here have an ACoS of 22%. So it would be to my advantage to increase my bids for the top of search ads. So what I suggest doing is increase it by 10% at a time and monitor the results. Increasing it by too much can drastically affect your ACoS since you're paying more per click. Now you can see that the rest of search is performing really bad. The ACoS is at 54%, way more than my profit margin, and there doesn't happen to be any product pages data here. So what I want to do is lower the bids for the rest of search. But the problem is, how this bid adjustment works is you can only increase your bids by a percentage that you set here. You can't decrease it. So basically, let's say I'm bidding $1 on a keyword. By increasing the top of search bids by 10%, Amazon will now bid $1.10 for all the top of search keywords, but continue to bid $1 everywhere else. So here's a hack to lower the bids where I want to. Go into your campaigns, and for each keyword in the campaign, lower all the bids by the same percentage that you put in the bid placements. So for example, I want to raise the top of search by 10%, so lower all the bids in the campaigns by 10%. So again, for example, if I'm bidding $1 for this keyword, now set it to 90 cents. Basically, by doing it this way, all of the top of search bids will remain the same since they're performing well and I increased it by 10%, but everywhere else, we lowered the bids to lower the ACoS in those placements. Does that make sense? Now repeat this for all the other campaigns. And like I mentioned earlier, it's important that you do this step first and make this global change, since in the next step, we'll be making changes to individual keywords. Okay, so once you've done that, we can move on to step 2. So download your PPC report so that you can analyze the data and develop a strategic plan. What I see a lot of people doing is just going through their PPC data inside the Amazon Ads Manager and making a ton of changes there. And that's not the best way to do it in my opinion, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, so again, if you followed my proper campaign building strategy, once you've downloaded your PPC report and open it up in Excel or Numbers if you're on a Mac, you'll see that you have 6 reports, like you can see here for a product that I launched. Here you can see there is one report for each PPC strategy. Main keywords exact, relevant keywords exact, master list broad, misspelled broad, suggested broad, and automatic. Again, I go over why you need to structure them this way in the video that I mentioned earlier. Now let's start with the first campaign, main keywords exact. This is probably always going to be the shortest list of keywords that you have here, since the main keyword list is only going to have the most relevant keywords for your product. So now we're going to focus on 3 main metrics: spend, the 7-day total sales, and ACoS. The first thing we're going to do is sort the ACoS from highest to lowest. Remember, the ACoS is how much money we spend on ads that turned into a sale, and we want this number to be equal to or lower than our profit margin. So again, in my case, this product has a profit margin of 36%. So what I want to do is remove any keywords where the ACoS is way over my break-even point, which is 36%. So as you can see here, these 2 keywords are way over at 81 and 63%. So what I do is I highlight these 2 rows in red, marking them for removal. You can see that I spent $476 and $35 on these 2 keywords, but they weren't profitable at all, so I'm going to remove them. Now this keyword here is just over my break-even point at 37%. Now it's not necessarily a bad keyword since I'm pretty much breaking even on it, and the sales is helping me generate sales velocity, which helps in the search ranking. So I'm going to keep it for now, but I'm going to keep a close eye on it. So what I'm going to do here is highlight it in yellow. The next keyword is performing awesome, and it's extremely profitable with an ACoS of 4%. So I'm going to highlight this one in green. And this last keyword doesn't have an ACoS. So keywords that haven't made a sale, like you can see here, there's 0 sales, they won't have an ACoS. But that doesn't mean you haven't spent any money on it. As you can see here, there's been 3 clicks, which cost me $2.36 per click for a total of $7.08. So in this case, this isn't a red flag yet. So what I want to do in these cases is just leave them alone and let them run. The reason is because the very next click could turn into a sale and suddenly the ACoS would be profitable. And since I don't have enough data yet, I'm going to leave it alone for now, and we'll talk more about this particular situation in a minute. Now, some people prefer to use the ROAS, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you prefer to use ROAS, then you'll want to look for keywords where the ROAS is less than or equal to your break-even ROAS. I just prefer to use ACoS because it makes more sense to me. Okay, so now this report is done. So let's move on to the next one. Let's take a look at the relevant exact report. This is a list of keywords that are closely related to my product. Keywords that are similar to my main keywords where shoppers might not know exactly what to call the product. So again, let's sort this by ACoS, highest to lowest. And let's highlight the keywords that are way over my break-even point, like we can see here. These top 3 keywords are way over 36%. And this keyword right here is right at my break-even, so let's highlight this one in yellow. And these 4 keywords here are profitable, so let's highlight them in green. Now again, we see a ton of keywords that have no ACoS. Remember, just because they don't have an ACoS doesn't mean you haven't spent any money on them. You can see here that they've all gotten clicks, and I've actually spent quite a bit of money on a few of them here. So let's resort this report by spend in descending order. Now, here's where we're going to focus on the keywords that aren't highlighted yet. And in my case, my product has a profit margin of 36%, but expressed in dollars, that translates to $10. So I'm making $10 on each sale. So what I'm going to do is any keywords where I've spent more than 3 times my profit margin, I'm going to highlight them in red and mark them for removal. So in this case, you can see that this keyword, I've spent $69 with no sales. So let's highlight this one in red. And this keyword here, I've spent $34 with no sales, so let's also highlight it red. And all the remaining keywords, I've spent less than 3 times the profit, so I'm gonna leave them alone. Again, remember, there's not enough data on these, so if the next click turns into a sale, the ACoS will turn profitable. However, there is one exception with this keyword. You can see that I've spent $21 on it and it has 13 clicks. So in my opinion, even if the next click is a sale, the ACoS will still be unprofitable. I would have spent over $20 just to make $10. So basically doing some mental math, the next 2 clicks would have to turn into sales for this keyword to break even. But you never know what's gonna happen. So with keywords like this, I'm gonna mark it in yellow so that I can keep an eye on it. But all of the rest of these keywords have very few clicks. As you can see here, most of them only have 1 click. So let's let them run and see what happens in the next 7 to 10 days. Okay, so analysis on this report is done. Pretty simple, right? Once you understand the metrics and how they work, you can make actionable strategic plans. So repeat this process for the rest of the reports. You want to let your campaigns run for at least 7 to 10 days in order to collect enough data before analyzing and optimizing again. And this is because sales can fluctuate wildly from day to day. In fact, on average, sales are the best from Thursday through Mondays. So if you start making changes too frequently, you can be looking at an incomplete picture of your PPC performance. Now, what you can do with the keywords that you've highlighted in red is remove them from the campaigns so that you're not bidding on them anymore. You can do that by turning them off in the campaigns by flipping the switch next to the keyword. You can also copy and paste the keywords into the negative keyword list if you want, but if a keyword that you don't want to bid on is already in the campaign, just flipping the status to inactive will do the same thing. The negative keyword list is more for keywords that you don't want to bid on that aren't already in your campaigns. Now, for keywords that you've highlighted in yellow, you can try to improve their performance by lowering their bids instead of removing them altogether. By lowering the bid, you are paying less per click, so although the conversion rate may fall, it can still perform well and lower the ACoS at the same time. This is something that you have to test to see. There's no way to know without trying. So what you can do is lower the bids by 10 cents at a time and see what happens. Now, for the keywords that are performing well, these are the keywords that you've highlighted in green. What I suggest doing is moving them to a new campaign. And I like to name the campaign my product name, good keywords. And make sure to use the same match type for that keyword. So if the keyword is an exact match, then you want to make sure the new campaign is also an exact match. Then set your daily budget very aggressively, like to $50 or $100 or more. Remember, these keywords are profitable. So the more money you spend on these, the more profitable sales you're making. But you also want to keep an eye on this campaign too, because things can always change. A profitable keyword today might suddenly turn into an unprofitable one in the future. Now, if you haven't already realized, doing it this way in Excel is a much better strategy than just making changes directly in Amazon's Campaign Manager. This way, as you saw, you can make changes in Excel before committing them to the campaigns, And you have a record of all of the changes that you've done from week to week so that you can reference them at any time to see what you've done and if the strategy is working or not. Now, I have an even more advanced strategy to help you get your listings ranked even faster and reduce your PPC ad spend that's based on an entirely different concept. And this video right over here will show you how to do that.